uh, uploading the video on a live stream. I can see a thumbs up there already. Hello, everyone, as you come in. Uh, this won't be long because it's kind of cold out here and I don't have a power supply for my battery exterior. Plug it in, and the battery wears out pretty quick in the cold weather. But I thought I should just cover a couple of things, and you can kind of tell by the name of this video, Intel and Logistics. And I'm going to actually reverse the topic here and start with logistics first. Every good warrior knows that tactics are important, but even more important are logistics. If you can't sustain the fight, then you're going to lose. And every good military planner understands that. So I'm hearing a lot of things about what's happening over in Europe at the present time. I'm going to be a little careful about how I explain things here because it's getting now to the point where even when you talk about this stuff, you can get censored. So, again, read between the lines here a little bit. You know about the conflict in Eastern Europe. And I'm hearing a lot of military analysts, primarily on the mainstream media. Okay, there are a few exceptions. I gave you one, Colonel McGregor, here a few videos back, and I'm noticing that there's a huge, what I would consider, in my estimation, to be a propaganda campaign against Russia. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, there's no way that Russia's going to run out of anything in 10 days. Okay, that's not the case. That kind of, and I'm going to explain a little bit more of that here in a few minutes as to the reason why. But obviously, what that's all about is propaganda to show that the other side, the NATO side, basically, has and of course, the country in question, the other one, isn't in NATO, at least not yet, not formally in any case. But it's to prop up the support for the side against the Russians. And I'm not going to get into the whether this thing is right or wrong on whose side or whatever. What I'm concerned about, of course, is, as I've said before, that there are serious criminal activities going on in the country that Russia is opposing. Not that they're on in Russia as well, but these things are being used against us, against the people of the United States and the Western democracies in general. And I think people that have been able to look at this understand that. So I think Colonel McGregor has it right. I've looked at the maps. Russia definitely has basically a double envelopment of the enemy, so to speak, and I don't think that their logistics problems are all that difficult. Now, what they have been up against are the asymmetric warfare units that are out there that have been there for quite some time on both sides. But as far as the logistical thing, as you probably know, just to shore that up, it looks like Russia and China are getting on board with each other. You've probably heard by now that the yuan, the Chinese yuan, is probably going to replace the dollar in Saudi Arabian oil exchange with China, and probably use of rubles in Russia, unless there's some type of an exchange that goes on there. It's very windy here, so if you can't hear me, I'm sorry. Like I said, this will be fast because I can't lose the power in the battery. It'll go pretty quick if I'm not careful. But the point is that I don't see it being a logistics problem. I don't even see it being the number of troops involved as far as that Russia can't sustain. What I'm seeing here is propaganda. Now, to back that up, I'm going to talk a little bit about intelligence and what we're seeing happen there. You've probably, if you have been paying attention, Russia has lost 3 generals in the last 3 weeks. They've lost at least 2 or 3 high ranking field grade officers, and they've lost a GRU captain in the military who was basically on the ground spying. My estimation on all of that is that this wasn't by happenstance just because of the battle. That's not it. I think what has happened here is that Putin has uncovered a Western cell in his military and in his intelligence apparatus. Now, that should not surprise anybody. That may have even been one of his goals. I don't know, and I'm not pretending to know that. But there's no way that 3 generals, a GRU officer, and several other high-ranking field grade officers in this situation would be taken out in 3 weeks. That's just not possible unless there was an inside operator who was giving Russia's enemies the information. And I think it was either that or Putin took out some people that he figured were his enemies. And I don't know which it is, but the fact that the director or commander of the FSB, which is the same thing as our CIA, was arrested and his deputy were arrested. The Western media is saying, well, it's because that they didn't ensure that the proper procedures were done and preparations and intel was accurate before Putin started out on this thing. And that could be. That could be. But it has the dual purpose of is it's exposing, I think, these enemy cells, these spy cells in the military and intelligence apparatus of Russia. And that's how I view it. Either way, whether these generals were killed in battle, that would have been because of somebody giving the information to the enemy about where they were, or it would be that Putin was getting rid of them. And I don't know which it is. I would think it's the former, that there's an internal cell operating in the Russian military and intelligence apparatus, and that they were giving that information because that's just the security around general officers. I've seen military police and CID protect the commanders in chief, the SINCs, and also the commanding generals of armies and divisions and things like that. So I would suspect that someone on the inside gave that information to the opposition, the enemy, so that they could take out those generals. That would be my guess, but it could be that Putin was taking them out because he saw them as enemies. I don't know which, but the arrest of the FSB director, commander, and his deputy, pretty serious business. So what's happened here is, isn't that interesting? Well, that always happens. Sorry about that. So what we've got here, I just thought I'd say today, is that obviously things are quite unstable right at the moment. No kidding, right? But I wouldn't be too engrossed in Western media information at this point, especially when they have generals like Wesley Clark, Petraeus, Kellogg, etc., up there saying things. When you look at what's happening there, it's real obvious, I think, that Colonel McGregor has it right. So I don't know what the outcome will be. Again, I'm not saying that I'm for either side, but I do understand the reason why Russia was concerned about what was happening, especially with the attacks on the citizens in the eastern provinces. Can't blame him a bit. Whether he's worked into it or not really isn't the issue. The issue is that this is a big problem, and as it sits right now, I think most of you know, there's a possibility this will probably go to the negotiation table pretty soon, and Russia will probably get those eastern provinces and an agreement that there won't be any interference by NATO, at least not formally. That's my guess at this point. All right, that's all I got. I just wanted to talk about that because those 3 generals getting knocked off within the first 3 weeks of the war, almost like one a week. That just nah. That's not happenstance. That's somebody articulated that from the inside, and the same with the GRU officer, and then we see that arrest of the FSB director and his deputy. So Putin's probably cleaning house at this point. Okay. Um, yeah, there are lots of, I can barely see that, lots of fake videos coming out of there. I realize that. I've seen some, there was one, well, there have been several that I've seen where attacks were made on different columns and things like that, and there were some anomalies in the videos that I was questioning really what was happening there. But it doesn't matter at this point. Just remember that prep, pray, and stay out of the way, okay? All right, that's all I got. I might come on tonight for a live stream, chat back and forth a little bit. I'm not sure right yet. That's a possibility. But regardless, while I'm out doing things today, I wanted to just put out that information about my take on the situation with the intelligence gathering and use of intelligence to take out those senior generals and those senior officers. I think that exposed an internal cell in the Russian apparatus. All right, y'all take care. We'll talk again later out here.